Hello. I was thinking when I was in my bed not too long ago. Okay, yeah, it was a long time ago. I woke up at 9 o'clock. I was thinking, like, what are some things that I wish they would have taught me in school? Because, looking at this current generation of children, I see a lot of stuff missing. And I'm like, well, there was probably some missing with my generation of kids in school as well. So I can't talk about them unless I talk about myself. Here are a couple of things that I wish that I was taught in school. They're pretty simple, I would say, but they're a big part of our lives. It's really strange how we aren't taught this, and our parents are expected to carry this weight when in fact they're dealing with their own issues, and some of our parents are just merely keeping a roof over our head and keeping us fed. They don't give any other support because they can't. The first thing that I wish I was taught was things about finance. Obviously how to pay the bills. I know how to pay them, but money management. I didn't know anything about credit cards till I was 23. How loans work. I didn't learn any of that until it was time to do the things. And obviously you're bound to make mistakes if you don't know anything about it beforehand. So I think that would be a good thing to teach, right before they release us out into the wild. I guess most students, being a student for most of our lives, before the point we're about to be released into the adult wild, we only knew how to be students. We're sitting there learning about stuff that we would forget promptly because none of that was relevant to our current lives unless we were going into that field. But definitely finance is one of those things that we need. Obviously math is important, and glad we learned that. That's great. But then when it came to kind of the more abstract concepts of math, it started to not make sense. Now, obviously later in life, algebra does sort of make sense in financial context because you are multiplying things and taking a certain number from this situation and putting it against that number in a different situation, and statistics and budgeting, that kind of thing. Algebra makes sense. Geometry, not so much in finances. So the more abstract you get with the math concepts, it's why am I learning this? I don't need this. I'm not about to be a mathematician. I'm just trying to pay my bills and also have food to eat. Finance in general, I think would have been good to learn. Not just learning, oh, we're taking a test. I mean, really know it, because we're going to be doing it for the rest of our lives. We need to know that stuff. The next thing that I wish we were taught in school, seeing as we spend most of our lives in school, is, I guess, I don't know what to call it, emotional management, or empathy, or just basically interacting with people in a healthy way. Most of the time, I would say people are bullied because, they're not getting the training at home. They only know what their parents are showing them, But at school, since we are learning, why not learn how to treat other people? We should have a full-on class about that. How to interact with somebody. Because in school, I would say I wasn't the most social person, because I didn't really know how to talk to people. I still don't know how to talk to people, but I'm doing my best, and people say I'm friendly, so that's good. I guess I've advanced. There's so many people who even from school, they still haven't advanced because they don't get that interaction that. Even if they do get the interaction, it's still bound to be more awkward or robotic because they don't know what they're doing or how they're supposed to feel, or how they're supposed to convey their words. This is something I think we need to learn. If we know how to treat each other, then there's less likely to be bullying. But I guess the flip side to that is some very smart emotionally smart people will be like, I know how to manipulate now. So like, I guess that could backfire. Like, we'd have a society of manipulators. Well, maybe we do actually. So, but I still think it'd be good to learn how to manage our emotions. Like, do check-ins or whatever. Sort of like how to do therapy to yourself. That'd be a good idea. Wow, self-therapy. Wow. As you get older, like, you kind of put your emotions to the wayside until it explodes, and then suddenly everything is wrong because you're not feeling right, Like, even if your situation is like, it's 10 out of 10 great, like, you would be the most miserable person because you never learned such, things like, relating to somebody, like, you think you're better than them, but suddenly, like, you guys are just the same, and now you feel bad about yourself, that kind of concept. So it's a good thing to learn. Another thing that I think we should learn in school is culture. Now, I know what you're thinking. Don't we already learn culture? We take history and geography and blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah, we do. We take all that stuff. But I mean, like, really get into it. Not to the point where we're literally appropriating it, but to where we can understand, like, at least scratch the surface level of multiple cultures, the ones that we see most often in our communities. I think that would be good to, get into. Like, a lot of people just come out of school just very ignorant, like, unfortunately say racist stuff, like they don't know any better. But if you go to school, especially in an area that's predominantly one race, with a couple of sprinkles here and there, like, I think it's very important to see, like, hey, this is gonna be the world I live in once I get out of this community. It's not gonna just be people who look like me and just one random person that doesn't belong here, belong here. Like, that's already a terrible way to think. So, so yes, I think it would be good to learn about other cultures, at least surface level, like, the most common around, or just, all over the world. That'd be great. Like, we can learn about, Italian people, German people, people from Iran, people from Korea, just everybody everywhere, like all the countries in Africa. Like, just learn people, like, learn about people to a certain extent. Now, you don't have to, like, dive deep, like, this is the reason why they act this way, because way back in, like, we don't need to get that deep. It's just kind of like, all right, here's, the cultures, like, be kind to them, be sensitive, like, if you think it's gonna offend them, like, talk to them about it, that kind of thing. Like, we need to be more culturally sensitive without appropriating, because that's what an emotionally developed person does. They respect each other. So I guess to kind of educate the people around you as well, like, if there was a learning gap with somebody, you could be like, hey, this is this and you shouldn't do this, or hey, you probably shouldn't be spending all your money on the PlayStation 5 because you have 10 bills due next week, that kind of thing. So yeah, if I come up with any more though, I'll make another video, but I think this is the gist of what I see I need, and maybe other people need for my particular generation. Like, we still need it. So, like, we need to pass that down, like, because we don't need any more iPhones, like, seriously. Like, nobody needs to be buying a new iPhone. I know Apple loves, like, basically seizing the software and saying, well, now it's not going to work if you don't get the new phone. Like, I know they love doing that, but there's got to be, like, a way around that, a more economically smart way for, the consumers, quote unquote, to, like, I don't know, survive. If everyone keeps buying this same exact technology over and over again because it's new and pretty, like, we're still gonna be broke. Thank you for watching today's video. Leave a like, down there. You see the like button. It's going like this, okay? Click it until it's blue. And then you see that red button down there with the big, huge, long word that I know you know how to read because you have passed the 3rd grade. It says subscribe, okay? Like, click that red button, boom, until it's gray, okay? We don't need any of those weird colors on my screen right now. Okay, just boom. And then also leave a comment telling me how lovely this video was. Do you relate to any of it? Did I sound like I didn't know what I was talking about? You know, I'm still socially awkward in my eyes. So, see you next time. Bye. Subscribe.